Welcome back to another Friday Reads. This is the time of week where I talk about what I've been reading, what I hope to read if I've finished anything, and the month is young. We are only 3 days into the month. You've just seen my February wrap-up, so you already know everything I read in February, but I have been reading some great things, so let's talk about it. Also, I guess you saw this in my wrap-up, but like newish background, I spent a lot of my weekend organizing my shelves because I had more books and storage, man, storage. But let's talk about the books I've been reading. So carryover from last month, Mistborn, The Final Empire. I love this book. This is a book about a group of people who are trying to take down the Lord Ruler, who is not ideal for society. At least it is a very rough kind of caste system or classes system. You've got the Ska and you got the nobles, and the Ska do not have it good. And basically our rebel unit, they're all Ska. And they actually, some of them have really cool powers, and the powers in this world are based around metals, and it's really cool. And I was really nervous because, you know, whenever you reread a favorite, you're like, am I still going to love it? Is it still going to be as good? Or if I changed up a lot as a reader, and will it not be as good? Happy to say that it's still amazing. It's still so awesome. There's like one scene that I'm like, I don't really like it, but honestly, I think I didn't like that scene in my previous reads as well. So I feel like everything's about the same. Every time I get to meet a favorite character or a favorite scene happens, it still hits me so hard. Like, if you've read the book, there's ballroom scenes for political stuff, and that first ballroom scene has a moment in it that I love. And when it happened, I was talking to Ryan, who's also read this book, and I'm like, Ryan, this thing just happened, and he looks at me like I'm crazy, and I'm just like, but it's the thing. I love the thing. I am such a sap for this book. It's so good. I'm a little over halfway, so it's what I've been reading at the end of every day, just as many pages as I can. It's one of those books with really long chapters, and I don't notice it because it is that engaging to me, and I love it. If you have not picked up Mistborn, well, maybe Sanderson's not for you. Like, there are some arguments to be made that his writing style is not for everyone, but goodness, do I love it. It's just a really engaging story. I really love Vin. She's kind of, I feel like, the ultimate, like, assassin, female, strong character. Like, a lot of her personality isn't really in angst. It's really grounded in the situation she's in. She's just like, sometimes so frustrating, but also like I completely buy into every decision she makes and exactly who she is. I really like Vin. Kelsier is really interesting each time I read this book to look into. Kelsier is like the leader of the rebels. It's a really, really good book. I highly recommend it. I know I don't talk about Sanderson books a lot on this channel, mainly because I haven't been reading them. Like, I do have a review for the Stormlight Archives because I read that last fall. But let me tell you, Sanderson is why I love to read. Like, I remember in high school not loving reading as much because I was reading a bunch of books that I didn't really like. And then I picked up Elantris, and I remembered reading was fun again. So, like, he is a big deal author for me. And it's so good. But let's talk about other things. For my local book club, I've been reading Deacon King Kong. This is a book. I think it's probably literary historical fiction. It's definitely very playful in its writing. It's definitely like this satirical, humorous, very long but well-cadenced sentence. So that's where I think it's like definitely literary fiction, but it's historical because it takes place in 1969 New York City, I think specifically Brooklyn. I don't think it's the Bronx, I think it's Brooklyn, but if I'm wrong, I'm really sorry for any New Yorkers who watch me. I'm not trying to mess it up. What's really interesting to me is I can see the satire and the humor, and sometimes it works for me, and other times I'm like, yeah, but I'm still very uncomfortable in this situation, because Deacon King Kong refers to this deacon of this neighborhood, and he's kind of like the neighborhood drunk. He's this old guy in his 70s who lives by himself and does odd jobs, and he's the deacon of the local church. And the King Kong refers to the alcohol, the moonshine he drinks all the time. So, like, sometimes his scenes are really rough on me. Like, I don't know, he's just, like, has some moments that are rough, but I also really love that we get multiple angles in this community. Like, I have gone through such a roller coaster of emotions while reading this book. I have gone through moments of, like, this is fine, to I can't put it down, because the writing style is really fluid. I really like the writing, and it reminds me of movies like Do the Right Thing, where it's very tonally odd, and it switches tones a lot. And you are following a community, and the story is the community and all of this weird intersection. And I'm kind of waiting for like a turning point, kind of like in Do the Right Thing, where things are gonna like really pivot. It's very interesting. I am really glad that I read the nonfiction White Rage before reading this, because it's 1969 and there's something happening in this community. Like there's an influx of heroin, and that influx of heroin is talked about in White Rage. And so it's like, it's really good that like I have that background, because otherwise I don't think I would be connecting things as well. It's a really interesting read for my local book club. I don't think I would ever have read it. I don't think it's gonna be an all-time favorite either, but I'm not hating my time. I have like 3.5 hours left according to the Kindle's estimated reading time. I'm excited to talk about it at book club, and I go to my local book club on purpose to make sure that I read things outside of science fiction and fantasy, just in my attempt to be a more well-rounded reader. And it is doing some work this month, that's for sure. I've also been reading some short stories from Sunspot Jungle Volume 2. I've only read 2 so far. I don't have anything really to say about either one of them, other than the first story. I really liked the author's ability to make a scene engaging and tense. It was called Attenuation. It was a story about how people can travel, but when they travel, then the body they leave behind has to be killed, or else attenuation can occur, like their soul keeps being pulled by these two bodies. And it's about this man who's attenuating, but to his knowledge, he did not sign up for this. So like, why is it happening? And I thought it was really good for like the 30 to 40 pages that this story was. It was really well paced and really good action and like stakes for me. I was very invested for the short amount of time, which I found impressive. And this author, I think his name is Nick Harkaway, has other works, so I'm going to definitely look into that. The second story was good, but it explored themes that I think I've just seen done more interesting for me in other sci-fi, like the theme of like, what's it called? It's basically when you can have like a network of minds interacting with each other, that sort of idea in sci-fi, and it's looking at it kind of from an interesting perspective. It's very contemporary, which was a little jarring, but because I think these actually came out, these short stories, before COVID, but like it does reference things like Zoom and Google Hangouts, so like that was weird, and I think Trumpers are mentioned and things like that, so it's very contemporary in terms of its like kind of sort of everything's kind of sucks and is falling apart vibes, which is a little hard in the currently, we're in a pandemic sort of thing. And then also the sci-fi element was cool, but I don't think it was done as well as I've had it done before. And I didn't love its pacing, and I don't know, there wasn't really any character work. It was a weird one for me, but that's been going well. And then what am I hoping to also pick up and get to? Well, first of all, I do want to start reading Deadhouse Gates by Steven Erikson. This is the most well-loved mass market paperback I have ever gotten from the library. Like, it opens flat, this poor thing. But that's okay. I actually love reading books that are like well used from the library, because then I don't feel bad about anything I do to them, and they really, you know, I mean, they open very easily. This is the second book, Malazan Book of the Fallen. I have a review and a vlog for the first one. I really liked it. I want to dive into this because it's split into 4 parts. So I think if I read a part a week, that'll be a good pace, because I'm pretty sure this is just going to be as dense as the first one. And that means I can't like binge it out like I normally read. I normally read as like a binger of books. Like I read one book until it's done and kind of move on, maybe 2 books max. So I kind of want to start this week, but I kind of wanted to finish The Final Empire first. We will see if cooler minds will prevail. And after I finish Deacon King Kong, I'm going to start Winter's Orbit and buddy read that with R. Their channel is R Jensen. I'll link them down below. This is supposed to be sci-fi romance. And honestly, I've been reading a lot of like thinkier things with Deacon King Kong, and I'm sure I'm going to start Deadhouse Gates, and like short stories take a little bit of mental space. I kind of want just like a character-focused sci-fi male romance, and I think that's what this is. Also, I bought this, and it's so pretty. And I also really like its inside is such a pretty blue. I don't know if that comes across well, but it's such a pretty blue. So I'm very happy. It's also like a very short hardback book. So that's what I'm thinking about reading if I'm able to handle all that, which I won't. Like, I am being way too optimistic. I would also love to start Phoenix Extravagant. It'll also depend, because I know Jocelyn from Yogi with the Book might want to buddy read this with me, and I don't know what her schedule's like, but I really want to read it. But yeah, this is me wanting to read all the things, which there are worst things in the world to want. Just a reminder that the bracket of the books is still happening. I'll still have those linked down below. I have loved seeing everyone's brackets. They're so cool. I have a more updated bracket that I'll put here with book covers. I got this idea from someone in my Discord. That's what's been so great about this readathon is like, I started with this seed idea and everyone has adjusted it to their own taste and with their own creativity, and it's become so awesome. Like, someone added book covers to the bracket, other people have added wild cards, some people are predicting, some aren't. It's awesome. I'm really enjoying it, and just talking and everyone being like, oh, I've read that book on the TBR, or I'm reading that one too. I don't know. I'm just having fun. It was a pretty good day. And it's not every day that I get to say it's a pretty good day. But that's it for this one. What are you reading this weekend? What have you been enjoying in March? How are your readathons going? I think so far I have accomplished nothing for the Animals readathon, except for... Oh, I am listening to Tower of Swallows, and I haven't talked about that. Tower of Swallows works for that readathon. I'll actually talk about that real quick. Is his 4th book in The Witcher. I like it okay. The audiobook's kind of weird, but it's what I'm listening to, and I like it. Per usual, Sapkowski likes to do weird narrative structure, and it's okay, but I was really confused because I started it, and I read Baptism of Fire back in, like, I want to say October, November, and I was like, did I forget how that book ended? And I did not. He made me think I did, but I did not. He just decided to jump in the middle of an event and then work his way out like an onion, and it's a choice. But it definitely confused me. I think I will be liking this one, but I just don't think anything will ever be as awesome for me as The Last Wish, but it's fun enough, and I like that I have the audiobooks. So that's all that I'm consuming. Leave down below what you're reading, and if you want to leave an emoji, oh gosh, that's scary. How about we leave something like weather, like the mists of Mistborn, like when you leave a cloud or rain or mists, if there is even a mist emoji, but something weather related. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.